I'm back. Yeah, I got a bit emotional, really. A bit too emotional for my liking. I did a bit of singing before, and things just came together over the last few days, really. Since being offline and then coming back online and seeing so many great people and trying so hard and putting up with so much strife. And regardless of what people are doing wrong, often we're pointing the finger and blaming others when we're just to blame ourselves. I don't think that matters. I don't think that needs to stop. We just need to I don't know. Everybody just needs to do what they think's best and not listen to others. Obviously we should listen to each other. I didn't mean it like, I listen to everybody, but we can't answer to them. We can't answer to everybody. One of my subscribers, friends, asked me to talk about a few issues, and I said, if you've got anything that you want me to talk about, let me know. You can send a personal message, and he did, and I'm ever so grateful for that. And he wrote it in a good way. It was like asking me to talk about shootings and the things that are going on in the news, bombings and these emotional aspects. Now, I've got absolutely no problem with talking about those issues at all. In fact, I kind of leave them back for later. I'll probably get into discussions with people, but in a way, I always run the danger of just blowing my mouth off about everything. And I think a lot of the things that I've said have got enough empowering information without having to go into the news, because there's a lot of other channels out there. But my take on things, on a lot of those are things that I see on the media only. That what I see on the news, I try not to have an emotional response to. I try to see it like it's another movie, another theatre piece. It's very difficult because there's empathy for people who are supposedly in that moment at peril. But at the same time, when mankind watches telly every day, and there's like murder and rape and car chases where the police are chasing the bad guys, but there's loads of other cars like ramming into each other and exploding, and you never see what's happening with all these other side effect victims, You never get to see the people who get trampled on, who just wanted a peaceful life, just wanted to just stay under a rock because it's just in a shade and come out at night. We're all different kinds of people, and we're all different at different times of our lives. And there is no higher or lower at time. If we look level, and imagine we're all climbing up this mountain, if we look level across it, everybody's on this same level. Just that some people are on an easier part now, and this part here is harder for maybe me or somebody else. So the climb, because not two people can climb the same place at the same time, everybody's got a different climb. Everybody's on their own. Everybody's kind of on their own with that climb. We can see each other and give each other support, maybe help each other by showing where there's like places, handholds, footholds, tracks, ledges. Maybe even take each other's hand now and again to pull each other up. But we tie each other together for safety, so maybe one falls off and we can catch them. But sometimes the person you're tied to could be maybe pulling you down without you realising it, And so I'm watching the news, and I'm watching all these terrible things that's going on in the world, and issues and things are coming up on all the networks. this is happening, this false flag thing, and we've got billions of people all fixated on a terror incident where few people have you know, come to their end, have found the fate or whatever. Injustice or justice, whatever the case may be. What I mean is, it's just no relation, you know. If I cut my finger and the whole world was like, oh, Steve's cut his finger, 7 million people are all like looking at my cut finger. It's a little bit of you know, I got this image the other day of sort of like falling out of an aeroplane and landing on something and like all my arms and legs and that, and saying, it doesn't hurt as much as it looks like it does when it's on TV, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Because you know, when you cut yourself, for me, this is how I see it. When I cut myself, it's like, oh wow, that doesn't hurt. How fascinating! I can see the bone from here. And then you show it to someone else, it's like, you know. And it's the same in reverse. When I see someone else and they say, oh look, I've like cut my finger, it's like, I think that's like empathy, you know. So, in a way, there is a possibility that your own problems are a lot less severe than you imagine other people's problems to be. But then there's other problems like social problems, dealing with technology, dealing with systems, dealing with belief systems, dealing with rules and regulations, and dealing with an authority that won't explain itself, dealing with the fact that we've been through schooling for so long and been bombarded with so much media that controls our minds, that there's a phase where we all of us, I think we all come out into kind of the nature. I'm not talking about this nature necessarily, into our own nature. At home, you know, you could be in a chair on the internet, and that you can still be in your own nature. I spend a lot of time on the internet, and I spend a lot of time on technology. And I keep doing that with my hand, so I'll use my other hand. Everybody's scared of different things. You know, some people are scared of spiders, and they don't know why. Some people don't like crows. Some people don't like water. Some people don't like open spaces. Heights, authority, paperwork, swear words. I don't know. It's a mad world. And I think if there was nothing I could do about it, I would just accept it, you know. I've had this a lot of times, you know, saying, oh, life isn't fair. And the answer being, oh, yeah. Life's not fair. Yeah, I got that wrong, you know what I mean, though. It's like, that's not fair. And then it's like, life's not fair. I think, well, it should be. You know, the one top priority about anything, really, it surely should be that it's fair. You know, okay, deal with it. You know, I mean, I'm not going to flip out about everything all of the time. I'm dealing with the things I'm dealing with. Okay, you know, but what do I let in? You know, what do I deal with? Am I just dealing with all of the, like, you know, pseudo things? You know, like the news, it's always presuming disaster. You know, I can understand people's point when they say it's not that bad. Well, around us here where we maybe live isn't that bad, you know. The doom and gloom, end of the world scenario is always just one step away, maybe next year. And there's a lot of shit happening, like kind of simmering, like cooking, burning, melting, decaying, rotting. You know, and then the true worry, fear that's, well, not the untrue one actually, you know, the one that's portrayed in the media as being, you know, Muslims and Jews and all of these different like conflicts, and sure there's conflicts because people are stupid, because we're ignorant, because there's like things to be sorted out, but that's why we're here as humanity, innit, with internet and communication. You know, forget nationality and stuff. You know, we all like sport. You know, you get your colours, you get your flags, you take sides and you become an adversary, and it's good to be an adversary. You have a tennis partner or a cricket partner or You know, but the idea is sportsmanship, and that doesn't mean like hurting each other at all. You know what I mean? So when a country's got a flag, it's got an army, you know, and that army has got then like somehow some kind of special license to kill. Everybody can join the army, and then you get a gun and you get, oh yeah, point it over there. Now do this, pull the trigger, and those, you know, other looking people with that other flag. We've got to, you know, I played skirmish paintball. When our band manager, our rock band manager, he took us out with his business colleagues to do this like skirmish paintball, running around in the woods with these like paintball guns. And there was a big team of us, like all of his like firm and our band were made one army, and we was like against other companies who were, you know, it was like a business excursion on paintball. First thing I did was shoot myself in the foot with this thing, you know, and I like, you know, it's paint, you rub it off and don't tell anyone. And I just thought, you know, it's fun, and it really did my legs in. You know, the whole band, we admitted that it was the most strenuous thing we'd ever done on our legs, because we were just like snooping around, and we got into it, and we like felt like we was in the film. We was covering each other's asses, and and it was fun, and I don't see anything bad about that. But it's just when the bullets become real, and the energy and the emotions become hostile. You know, there's a lot of talk right now about gun banning. You know, well, you know, the problem is, basically, if let's just take it, we're going to be a globe. We are a globe. You know, planet Earth is a whole globe. Eventually, we're going to have to get on. I've got no problem with people having their own little things, you know, own ways of life, as long as we all don't hurt each other and nobody forces anybody else to do whatever. Blah, blah, blah. We've got the Earth, you know what I mean? And so, I can't remember where I was going with that. But you get the point. I mean, you know, we can't be countries and flags and run the danger, you know, like, to me, the people I see around me, the people I know on Facebook and on YouTube and on other sites and over emails and other people that have found my websites and found me over the years, they people I class as real friends, you know, especially people I've met in real life and touched them with my hand or given them a hug, which I try and do, because that's the closest I manage to get these days to a human being, is giving them a hug, really, you know, like, you know, of the normal strangers, so to speak, you know. I like that human contact because there's so much more in the gestures. You know, video like this, it's like, it only reflects so much, which in this case, it gives me the ability and other people the ability to really come clean with themselves, to sit in the forest, to talk to the camera, to talk to you, the viewer, to maybe even choose one of you and then swap different people, thinking about different people and addressing those people without saying the names, you know, just to sit here and then have the choice to get home and say, do I upload that? And it's such an easy thing to say, no, I won't upload that. You know, everybody I know would say, oh, I wouldn't upload that, but it's great. You know, send me it, but don't upload it. Don't show anyone else, but I think it's brilliant. I don't think anyone else would like it, though. I wouldn't recommend it. That's the thing about, like, the word like. You know, it just doesn't work, you know. When you see a video with the title, young boy gets beaten up by whatever, how can you like that? How can you click like? How can you bring it across yourself to click like? So the videos that are going to get supported more are the ones that are like you are already, perpetuating the whole thing. You know, politics, I can't even talk about politics because it's just such a joke. It is just such a joke, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. You know, but I think, looking around me, I think I'm not alone on this. It's just such a joke. It's just a big big joke. And I don't, yeah, like I say, I don't mean that in disrespect, because the people who are in government and know it themselves. You know, we always get this impression from our different levels of the so-called imaginary pyramid. We always get this impression that, you know, other people are kind of more responsible. You know, for example, police are should be more responsible than us, because they're our civil servants, which in a way, on paper, yeah, but if by doing that, you're automatically implying that you are a ward of the state, because you're saying, hey, please take care of me, you know, because you're lower than me. You know what I mean? You know, by instantly making someone else, like the government, responsible for all of the things, you're implying that you are a ward of them. You are a child of them. You are in their care, and they have a duty of care. So if somebody leaves you with a load of rebel kids, right, that you've never met before, girls and boys of all ages, and they're all just flipping out. They've all had too much like sugar and too much everything, too much television, and you've got this room full of kids in your house. Imagine that, you know, loads of women come and dump their kids on you for the day. Yeah. And you've got like they're climbing up your chairs and climbing up. Yeah, it's just crazy, scratching all your favourite records. You know, so the first thing you would do is like move everything up to the ceiling, you know, so they can't reach it, clear everything out of value, pad all the corners, put something in there to attract their attention and distract them from other things that you want to save. You know, they would put on like clowns on the wall and magic pictures and mobiles that light in the dark and things to keep the baby occupied. You know, while the family, while mother or whatever, while the rest of the family can, you know, try and use the free time however possible. You know, most people have got no free time really. Well, the little bit that they have, they're dedicating it to other friends. You know, even if it's just chatting with people so people are not on their own. I'm babbling, but I just do these babbles because I don't see anybody else. I do actually see other people babble, but everybody's got to babble in their own way, otherwise it doesn't work. Yeah, you know, I'm not afraid to stand at the microphone, right? And you know, I'm broken in on that one. I'm used to going on stage and talking, well, singing more. You know, to me, talking between songs was really difficult. You know, I was at a gig and it was someone's birthday, and I said hip hip hooray 3 times and nobody got it. I was on my own with it, sort of thing. It's quite embarrassing, you know. Oh, everybody say yeah. Embarrassing. You just have to think, right, yeah, fuck it. Fuck it. And so I don't mind being on the microphone. Thing is, the microphone don't work if you haven't got like a crew, you know, and people to listen and stand in the audience. So it's just so brilliant to go, hey, and then get like, hey, back. But it works with a PA and an audience and a crew and everybody else. But I'll do the microphone bit if you want. Or, you know, I'll back you up with a few like jazzy guitar riffs. Well, more rock, really, my style. Anyway, what did I want to say in this video, really? The world is a very difficult place for me. I've managed to get freedom to reduce a lot of things, but I've been through a lot of pain. I've been through a lot of obstacle courses. And, you know, one of the biggest ways I deal with life is acceptance, in a way. Not agreement, but accept. That's, I think, if you can understand the difference between acceptance and agreeance, that's a little step, maybe. You know, just to accept that someone else has got maybe a completely illogical, irrational point of view that might have as much use as a totally logical one. You know, you could say to someone, oh yeah, 2 and 2 is 5, and they'll say, no it isn't. which is good because then at least it's questioned. But if you say 2 and 2 is 4, the person just thinks, yeah, I'll take it as read. Yeah. 20 minutes, a third of an hour is enough, I think, for this one. I could go on for ages. But I value your time. And I just hope that if you found this boring, you would just turn it off halfway through or right at the beginning. You see, because with technology, it's not really that hard to actually make this video, technically, for us in the Western world where this technology is available easily. So it's not really a question of me being a video maker. Oh wow, I've got like widescreen TV. In fact, I made this one on low quality because in a way, watching low quality videos at the beginning was what inspired me to just pick up my low quality camera and make a start. I think if I'd have put so much value on the high quality and only watching channels with HD quality, I probably wouldn't have risked doing my own videos in low quality, if you get what I mean. And to me, it's really the sound that's important. The visuals are not really, to me, important. They're there just to kind of get the gesture, the abstract. The sound is really, really, really important. I mean, if you notice on your computer, you've probably got a very, very limited ability to change your sound. You've just got a couple of little faders, no lights, no numbering system on it really, no EQ, no equalizer, no compressor, no limit. There could be a limiter on there or a compressor. Easy thing to make, easy software, really easy. You click on the bottom right hand corner, limiter, compressor, and everything you listen to is then limited. So, or compressed, so you don't get these really loud adverts and then somebody's quiet video, because that is the big problem when you've got an advert that's really loud and then the video comes that's really quiet. You're forever turning it up and down, and then the next thing comes on and shocks you. And all of these shocks to the system, although it keeps you awake, it can also keep you distracted. You just might be moving into your kind of heart space and feeling something really, bit of reggae, and suddenly something just brings you out of that heart space, and it just coitus interruptus. I can't leave it on that note, but yeah. Wow, what a day, what a day, what a life, what a year, what a time. Just don't invest too much emotional energy into things on television. There's enough information out there, there's enough people questioning it, so before you start losing a tear over something you've seen on TV, or somebody's told you about something you've seen on TV or read on the paper, question it, question me telling you to question it. But I think in a way most of the you subscribers now already know it. So I think most people know it. I think it's just a matter of the recognition, you recognising that I know, and then the more people that press like, the more people kind of agree with me, without even accepting it as truth or anything. You kind of agree with things. And that's how representation and recognition can work. It works on Facebook, doesn't it? You give people a like, not because you want to spread that round your community, but because you want to say to them, I've seen it, I liked it. I would pass it around, but all my other friends wouldn't understand it anyway. So, it's a filibuster. A filibuster is something in court that's like an issue that just goes on and on and on in order to leave other issues later. And that's one thing I'm very worried about, is making a video that's just a filibuster. We are the filibusters. Alright, yeah. So I love all of you who I know personally, and I love all of you who I've interacted with. I can say that from my heart, even the difficult ones. Yeah, the show must go on. My show goes on. Well, it's not really a show, but it is. Alright, have a good time, all the time, if you can. And I'll see you later, and I'll do another video soon. Thanks a lot, cheerio.